I keep meeting all these different women from all these different, levels in life, because that's the environment I was in. I was living in Abu Dhabi, Dubai. I was really shocked and amazed that even though people are financially well-to-do, there was still so much emotional stress. And so that made me want to dive in the books even more. I was like, me and my books over here, I'm just fine. And I don't mean this in a condescending way or a negative way, but this has been my life story, and I feel that for the most part of my life, I've always had to feel shame and guilt for being who I am. I was always misunderstood. I never made sense to people. And maybe I didn't make it easier, right? But it's funny. But I make sense to myself now, if that makes sense. It makes sense to me now. I understood. And what I had to go through were the 5 stages of self-mastery. And when I went through these 5 stages of self-mastery, I've been through all of them. And it took me 10 years. But it took me 10 years because I had to develop and invent the self-mastery system. Because as I went through it, I started to as well question what it is that I was going through. So I think I've placed myself in a very unique situation where I have a husband that loves me unconditionally. Motherhood completely opened my heart. Motherhood completely opened my heart to the point where I started asking myself, finally, for the first time in my life, the real existential questions. And then I had all these experiences with other women in my life, other mothers, because I'm a very social person. I have no problems making new friendships. So I make friends from all walks of life. I started to see the suffering in each and every one of them, even though their financial status was completely different. So I knew it had nothing to do with material wealth, possessions, money. I dove deeper and deeper and deeper in the book. It was this combination of everything that was happening at the same time in my life at that time. And as a result of that, I took myself through these 5 stages, and I came out on the other side unified. And when you come out on the other side, I call it the awakened state. And so if we go through the phases of awakening, it's phase 1, which is the small awakening, phase 2, which is the big awakening, and phase 3, which is the awakened state. And when you are in the awakened state, which is in the 5 stages of self-mastery, stage 5, that's when you have a complete and total shadow integration. So you no longer feel shame or guilt for who you are. You really, really start to shine, and you start to say the words out loud. Like, did I just say that? Yeah, I just did. But you're no longer afraid of people's reactions. And even if they react in a negative way, it no longer phases you, because you know that when the words come out of your mouth, they're true to your heart. And when you understand that your intention is true, it doesn't mean that what you do is necessarily right. It doesn't have to be right. It has to be true to you. And so but I noticed that we women just don't give ourselves permission. And I was wondering, okay, then what is it? What is it that we lack? What knowledge do we lack? What is the missing link? Why can't we make that leap from who we think we are to who we really are, and embrace that? And so in my book, I explain the 5 stages of self-mastery and what you have to go through. But if you want to know in full details about these stages, you'll have to come to my school, register. Student level membership is free, and I'll give you the first 68 pages of my book for free, where I explain the whole introduction, which is about the 5 stages of self-mastery. And I explain to you step by step by step what needs to happen.